Muscle is the new organ of longevity. Feed it wisely. For decades, we've been taught that muscles are simply for movement, to lift, to run, to climb. But modern science has completely rewritten that understanding. Your muscles are far more than engines of motion. They are living, dynamic organs that influence everything from your metabolism to your immunity, from your hormones to your lifespan. In fact, the more we learn, the clearer it becomes that maintaining and feeding your muscles properly may be one of the most powerful ways to slow aging and extend not just how long you live, but how well you live. Think about it, your muscles are the largest organ system in your body by weight. They're not just passive tissue, they are metabolically active, sending out molecular signals that talk to your brain, your fat, your liver, even your immune cells. When your muscles are healthy, they release myokines, small proteins that act like messengers, promoting fat burning, reducing inflammation, and protecting against chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer. Every time you move, your muscles are communicating with the rest of your body, orchestrating a symphony of biological responses that keep you strong, sharp, and vital. But when muscles shrink and weaken, a condition known as sarcopenia, that entire system begins to break down. Sarcopenia doesn't just make it harder to climb stairs or lift groceries. It disrupts your body's metabolic balance. It lowers insulin sensitivity, reduces your resilience to illness, and makes recovery from even minor injuries longer and harder. It's not just a loss of muscle, it's a loss of health span, that precious measure of how long you can live fully and independently. And the truth is, sarcopenia doesn't wait until you're old. It can begin quietly in your 30s, creeping in so slowly that you barely notice. A little less strength, a little more fatigue, slower recovery after exercise. And before you know it, the very system designed to protect you starts to deteriorate. But the good news is that muscle loss isn't inevitable. It's preventable and even reversible if you understand one key principle. Muscle is a living organ that must be fed, and fed wisely. Feeding your muscle doesn't just mean eating more protein. It means giving your body the right nutrients at the right times, in the right balance, so your muscle tissue can thrive. Protein quality matters more than quantity. Amino acids, particularly leucine, act as anabolic triggers, switching on your muscle's ability to repair and grow. But protein alone isn't enough. Your muscles depend on a network of nutrients, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, magnesium, and polyphenols, that together activate growth pathways, fight inflammation, and improve the way your muscle cells use energy. Imagine your muscles like a biological bank account. Every time you exercise or eat nourishing food, you make a deposit. Every time you sit too long, skip meals, or eat poorly, you make a withdrawal. Over time, those choices add up, either to compound strength or compounded weakness. Feeding your muscle wisely means investing in your future resilience. Exercise, especially resistance training, is the spark that ignites this biological machinery. But food is the fuel that sustains it. Without the right nourishment, even the best exercise can't build the muscle your body deserves. The synergy of movement and nutrition is where longevity is truly built. When you lift weights or even simply move with intention, you send a message to your muscles: grow stronger. When you follow that message with nutrient-dense food, high-quality proteins, colorful plants, and anti-inflammatory fats, you give your body the tools to answer that call. And there's something extraordinary about the way muscle interacts with aging. Scientists studying centenarians, people who live beyond 100, have found that one of their common traits isn't necessarily genetics, but preserved muscle mass and strength. They remain active, eat real food, and continue to challenge their bodies. Their muscles aren't just keeping them mobile, they're keeping them young on a cellular level. Strong muscles regulate blood sugar, produce hormones, and enhance mitochondrial function, the very engines that generate energy in your cells. It's not an exaggeration to say that the health of your muscles is a mirror of your overall vitality. Feeding your muscle wisely also means being strategic about what you avoid. Ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, and trans fats sabotage muscle health by promoting inflammation and insulin resistance. They disrupt the delicate communication between muscle cells and other organs. In contrast, foods rich in antioxidants, berries, leafy greens, nuts, and olive oil protect those communication channels, reducing oxidative stress and keeping your muscle tissue biologically younger. Hydration is another often overlooked factor. Muscles are nearly 75% water. Even mild dehydration impairs strength and endurance. Water supports nutrient delivery, waste removal, and the contraction of muscle fibers. So feeding your muscle wisely also means fueling it with enough fluids, especially when you're active. Sleep, too, is part of this equation. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone, one of the most powerful natural stimulators of muscle repair and regeneration. Chronic sleep deprivation, on the other hand, raises cortisol levels, which break down muscle tissue and promote fat gain. You can't feed your muscle properly if you starve it of rest. Ultimately, treating your muscles as an organ of longevity means respecting them as you would your heart or your brain. It's about moving beyond vanity, beyond building muscle for appearance, and recognizing that every bit of strength you build today is a shield against disease tomorrow. Your muscles store amino acids that your body can draw upon during illness. They stabilize your blood sugar when you eat. They even help detoxify by absorbing excess glucose and fat from your bloodstream. This understanding reframes the way we think about aging. Instead of trying to stop the clock, we can feed the system that keeps the clock running smoothly. The question isn't how old you are in years, but how old your muscles are in function. A 70-year-old with strong, nourished muscles may have the biological vitality of someone decades younger. So when we say, muscle is the new organ of longevity, it's not a metaphor. It's a scientific reality. The choices you make each day, what you eat, how you move, how you rest, all speak directly to your muscles. Feed them wisely with real, nutrient-dense foods. Challenge them with movement that demands growth. Respect them with adequate recovery. In return, your muscles will reward you with strength, stability, and years of health you can truly live in. Longevity is not about living longer at any cost. It's about living better, stronger, and with more freedom. And that begins with honoring one of your body's most powerful allies, your muscles. They are your internal fountain of youth, your natural defense against aging, and your most loyal partner in the pursuit of lifelong vitality. Feed them as if your future depends on it, because it truly does. Food is not just calories, it's medicine that speaks to your genes. Every time you take a bite of food, you are not simply filling your stomach. You are sending a message to your body. Each molecule in your meal carries instructions that interact with your DNA, turning genes on or off, activating healing pathways, or sometimes triggering disease. Food is far more than fuel. It is biological information, a form of molecular communication that determines how your body performs, how it ages, and how it defends itself. This understanding represents one of the most profound revolutions in modern science, the realization that nutrition is not just about quantity. It's about signaling. Think of your genes as a vast library. Inside that library are thousands of books, each representing a potential function your body can perform. Some books are open and being read, others are closed and silent. The foods you eat act like librarians, choosing which books get pulled from the shelf and which stay closed. Eat the right foods, and you open the books of repair, regeneration, and vitality. Eat poorly, and you activate the scripts of inflammation, insulin resistance, and premature aging. This idea is at the heart of the field known as nutrigenomics, the study of how nutrients influence gene expression. For decades, we believed that our genes were fixed, an unchangeable blueprint handed down by our parents. But research now shows that genes are dynamic. They respond to the environment, and food is one of the most powerful environmental signals of all. You can't change the genes you were born with, but you can change how those genes behave. And food is the lever that makes that possible. When you eat colorful plant foods rich in polyphenols, like blueberries, spinach, turmeric, or green tea. You're not just consuming antioxidants. You're feeding your cells messages that lower inflammation, enhance mitochondrial function, and protect DNA from damage. These plant compounds activate longevity genes such as sirtuins and AMPK, which play crucial roles in energy metabolism and cellular repair. Meanwhile, certain fatty acids found in foods like avocados, olive oil, and salmon help regulate the expression of genes involved in fat metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and heart health. Contrast that with the effects of ultra-processed foods high in sugar and trans fats. These foods send entirely different messages to your genes. They upregulate inflammatory pathways, trigger oxidative stress, and impair the very systems that protect your body from disease. Over time, these molecular miscommunications accumulate, and the result is chronic illness. Not as a random occurrence, but as a biological consequence of repeated negative signaling. The beauty of understanding food as a form of information is that it transforms the way we think about diet. It's no longer about restriction or guilt, it's about empowerment. You hold in your hands, literally on your plate, the ability to influence your biology every single day. When you choose foods that support your body's healing systems, you are actively participating in your own longevity. Your metabolism, immune system, and even your mood are all deeply tied to how your genes respond to what you eat. For instance, foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, like walnuts, flax seeds, and wild fish, can reduce the expression of pro-inflammatory genes while increasing the activity of genes that promote brain health and heart function. Similarly, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and kale contain sulforaphane, a compound known to activate detoxification genes, helping your body eliminate toxins and reduce the risk of cancer. Even timing matters. The rhythm of when you eat influences gene activity through what scientists call your circadian clock, the genetic system that governs your sleep, metabolism, and repair cycles. Eating late at night, for example, can disrupt this clock, altering the expression of genes that control insulin sensitivity and fat storage. In contrast, aligning your meals with daylight, eating earlier and fasting overnight, can reinforce natural rhythms that optimize your body's performance. Your gut microbiome also plays a central role in this story. The trillions of bacteria in your intestines respond instantly to what you feed them, producing metabolites that communicate directly with your genes. Fiber-rich foods, vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains encourage the growth of beneficial microbes that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which silence inflammatory genes and strengthen your gut barrier. But when you consume too much processed food, the balance shifts toward harmful bacteria, whose byproducts can trigger immune genes and create systemic inflammation. So, food is not a passive factor, it is an active partner in your biology. The moment nutrients enter your bloodstream, they interact with receptors on cell surfaces, travel into nuclei, and influence gene transcription, the process that determines which proteins your cells make. Those proteins, in turn, affect everything from how efficiently your body uses energy to how quickly it repairs damage. That means the simple act of choosing between a sugar-sweetened beverage and a green tea, or between a fast food meal and a home-cooked dish of vegetables and lean protein, is essentially a genetic decision, one that shapes your body's future from the inside out. This understanding also redefines how we view prevention. For many years, medicine focused on treating disease after it appeared, as if illness were inevitable. But if food can talk to genes, then we have the power to prevent disease before it starts, by sending the right messages long before damage takes hold. You can lower your genetic risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even neurodegeneration, not by changing who you are genetically, but by changing what you eat consistently. Consider, for instance, the Mediterranean diet, often associated with long life and reduced chronic disease. Its power lies not in its calorie count, but in its information content. Olive oil activating anti-inflammatory genes, red wine polyphenols like resveratrol stimulating longevity pathways, and fiber-rich foods feeding a microbiome that supports genetic harmony. This pattern of eating doesn't silence your genes, it tunes them like instruments in an orchestra, into a state of balance. Food can even influence emotional health through gene expression. Certain nutrients, like B vitamins, zinc, and magnesium, regulate the genes involved in neurotransmitter production, affecting how you feel and think. That's why diets high in processed foods and low in whole nutrients are often linked to anxiety and depression. The biochemical messages they send disrupt your brain's natural balance. In contrast, diets rich in whole foods foster gene activity that supports cognitive clarity and emotional resilience. Understanding this connection gives new meaning to the saying, "You are what you eat." It's not just metaphorical, it's molecularly true. Your body is literally built, cell by cell, from the instructions provided by the foods you consume. Each meal is an opportunity to reprogram your biology, to write a story of vitality rather than decline. This concept also brings humility and hope. Humility, because it reminds us how interconnected we are with nature. That the compounds in plants, grown under sunlight and soil, hold the power to instruct our bodies on how to heal. And hope, because it shows that no matter your age or background, change is always possible. Your genes are not your destiny. They are responsive, adaptable, and waiting for your direction. So when you look at your next meal, don't see it as mere sustenance. See it as a conversation. Ask yourself, what message am I sending to my body right now? Am I turning on the genes of inflammation or the genes of repair? Am I feeding disease or feeding longevity? Every choice counts, every bite matters. Because food is not just calories, it is communication. It is the daily dialogue between your environment and your genes, between the outside world and the blueprint within you. When you choose wisely, you become the author of your biology, shaping a life not defined by chance, but by intention. In that simple yet profound act of choosing what to eat, you hold the power to influence your health, your energy, and your future at the most fundamental level. The right protein can defeat sarcopenia and rebuild strength at any age. Muscle loss with age, known as sarcopenia, is one of the most underestimated challenges of modern health. It sneaks up quietly, a gradual decline in strength, balance, and endurance that begins as early as our 30s. Over time, the loss accelerates, leading not just to frailty, but to metabolic instability, increased fat accumulation, and reduced quality of life. But the science of nutrition reveals something remarkable: the trajectory of muscle decline is not fixed. The right kind of protein, consumed in the right way, can turn that tide. It can reignite muscle growth, rebuild strength, and restore vitality, no matter your age. Protein is the cornerstone of muscle health. It supplies the amino acids your body uses to build, repair, and maintain muscle fibers. But not all proteins are equal in their ability to stimulate muscle synthesis. What matters most is the quality, digestibility, and amino acid profile of the protein you consume. High-quality proteins contain all 9 essential amino acids, the ones your body cannot produce on its own. And among them, leucine plays a particularly vital role. Leucine acts as a molecular switch for muscle growth by activating the mTR pathway, a key cellular mechanism that triggers the synthesis of new muscle tissue. As we age, our muscles become less sensitive to this anabolic signal, meaning they require a higher threshold of quality protein to achieve the same effect as in youth. This phenomenon, called anabolic resistance, is one reason why older adults often lose muscle even if they eat what seems like enough food. The solution isn't simply eating more calories. It's ensuring that every meal delivers the right kind of protein to overcome this resistance. Animal-based proteins such as eggs, fish, poultry, lean meat, and dairy tend to have the highest biological value, meaning they contain amino acids in proportions most compatible with human needs. Whey protein, for instance, is rapidly absorbed and rich in leucine, making it particularly effective for stimulating muscle synthesis after exercise. But plant-based proteins, from sources like soy, quinoa, lentils, peas, and chickpeas, can also be powerful when consumed strategically. Combining complementary plant proteins, such as rice and beans or hummus with whole grain pita, can create a complete amino acid profile that rivals animal sources. The timing of protein intake also matters. Muscles need a steady supply of amino acids to repair and grow, especially following physical activity. Spreading protein evenly across meals, roughly 25 to 35 grams per serving, has been shown to be more effective for maintaining muscle than concentrating protein in just one large meal. After exercise, a window of opportunity opens where muscle tissue is particularly receptive to nutrients. Consuming protein within about an hour after resistance training can amplify the muscle building response and accelerate recovery. But the story doesn't end with protein quantity and timing. The context of your overall diet shapes how efficiently your body uses protein. For muscle synthesis to occur, the body also requires adequate energy and a host of supportive nutrients. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish or flax seeds enhance the muscle's anabolic response by reducing inflammation and improving blood flow. Vitamin D helps regulate calcium balance and muscle contraction. Antioxidants from fruits and vegetables protect muscle cells from oxidative stress that can impair their function. Together, these nutrients create an environment where protein can do its best work, building strength instead of merely being burned for energy. Exercise is the crucial partner to protein in the fight against sarcopenia. Without movement, even the best diet cannot preserve muscle mass. Resistance training sends a biological signal to your body that says, these muscles are needed. That signal increases the uptake of amino acids and enhances the muscle's response to protein. In fact, the combination of resistance exercise and dietary protein has a synergistic effect far greater than either one alone. The muscle fibers damaged during exercise are repaired and rebuilt stronger when adequate amino acids are available, creating a feedback loop of growth and resilience. There's also a hormonal component to how protein combats sarcopenia. Sufficient protein intake supports the production of insulin, like growth factor 1, IGF-1, and other anabolic hormones that promote tissue regeneration. Conversely, diets low in protein can elevate cortisol, a stress hormone that promotes muscle breakdown. By supplying your body with the right nutrients, you shift this hormonal balance toward repair and away from degradation. Emerging research shows that not all proteins affect the body in the same way beyond muscle growth. Some have unique bioactive peptides that influence inflammation, metabolism, and even immune function. For example, certain dairy proteins contain compounds that help lower blood pressure and support vascular health. Critical for nutrient delivery to muscle tissue, plant proteins, meanwhile, often come packaged with fiber and antioxidants that improve gut health, which indirectly supports muscle metabolism through better nutrient absorption and reduced systemic inflammation. Sarcopenia is not simply a cosmetic or strength issue, it's a medical one. Loss of muscle mass leads to reduced mobility, higher risk of falls, insulin resistance, and even cognitive decline. In many older adults, the difference between independence and dependency comes down to muscle health. But the body remains remarkably adaptive even late in life. Studies show that older individuals who begin strength training and improve their protein intake can rebuild significant muscle mass in just a few months. The key is consistency, feeding your body what it needs every day, not occasionally. Protein also plays a pivotal role during recovery from illness or injury. When the body faces stress, surgery, infection, or trauma, muscle protein breakdown accelerates to supply amino acids for immune defense and healing. Without sufficient dietary protein, this leads to rapid loss of lean tissue, delayed recovery, and greater vulnerability. Ensuring adequate intake during these periods is not just beneficial, it's life-saving. Many people, however, still fear protein, associating it with weight gain or kidney strain. Yet in healthy individuals, moderate to high protein intake supports metabolic health rather than harming it. Protein increases satiety, stabilizes blood sugar, and boosts thermogenesis, the body's calorie-burning process. For those with pre-existing kidney conditions, intake must be personalized, but for the majority of people, protein is a protective ally, not a threat. Even for those following plant-based diets, the goal remains the same to meet protein needs through variety and quality. Fortified plant milks, legumes, tofu, tempeh, and nuts can all contribute meaningfully. Modern innovations in food science have also produced plant based protein isolates and blends that rival animal proteins in amino acid content. What matters most is that the diet as a whole consistently delivers what your muscles require to thrive. There's a powerful truth hidden in this science. It is never too late to rebuild strength. Muscles respond to care at any age. A person in their 70s who begins to eat more protein-rich meals and engage in resistance training can regain muscle mass, improve balance, and restore independence. In many ways, muscle is the body's proof of renewal, a living demonstration that regeneration is possible when we nourish it correctly. The right protein, therefore, is more than a nutrient. It is a signal of vitality, a declaration to your body that growth is still possible. It empowers not just your physical strength, but your confidence, your posture, and your energy. It anchors your metabolism, stabilizes your immune system, and extends your years of healthy living. In the end, defeating sarcopenia isn't about chasing youth. It's about sustaining your body's natural capacity for strength. Every bite of protein-rich food, every session of movement, every mindful choice reinforces the message your body is waiting to hear. Keep building. Age may slow the process, but it never stops the potential. Feed your muscles wisely, move with intention, and let protein become your lifelong ally in the pursuit of vitality.